What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay guys, so we are basically going to do a full story video. A full story video is when I basically sit down and combine a bunch of videos together into one big video. And usually those smaller videos tell one overarching storyline. Now, with that being said, today's full story video is going to be over Earth 1 Teen Titans. Remember, when it comes to Earth 1 comics, basically they take place in an alternate universe that is kept away from the main DC universe. But it also gives writers more freedom to kind of retell the origin of these characters in a new way over in that universe over there. Now, we have covered Earth 1 Superman completely, but today's full story will give you the complete story of Teen Titans over in Earth 1, because there's only 2 volumes. There wasn't a third one. Either way, though, you do have DC give us Earth 1 Teen Titans in a very interesting way. Their origins are completely different from the main DC universe counterparts. But with that being said, I do hope you enjoy today's full story video. Guys, please enjoy and leave me a like. Thanks. What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay guys, so we are basically going to continue our coverage over Earth 1 comics, and we're going to cover Earth 1 Teen Titans. Now, when it comes to Earth 1, you have to remember, it's basically an alternate DC universe where the writers have more freedom to tell the origins of these characters in Earth 1 universe. Now, with that being said, Earth 1 Teen Titans was probably the one a lot of fans kind of gave a lot of hate towards, because it was completely different from what fans are usually used to when it comes to Teen Titans. Because again, this is Earth 1. The writers had more freedom, but of course the main goal was to make sure that the origins are somewhat different or completely different from the original source. And so when it came to Earth 1 Teen Titans, it was something. It was completely different, and a lot of fans were very shocked by it. Now, the opening pages of this book kind of shows us why I said earlier that basically the origin of the Teen Titans is completely different, because we actually do pick up with this kind of dream sequence. Now, this dream sequence, of course, it does seem like there's a family right now traveling through space. And of course, they had some complications as they were traveling through space. And of course, after they were able to travel through space and arrive on Earth, of course, the landing wasn't so great. Where, of course, you did have the parents basically get injured. But of course, they hid out in a cave. Now, of course, they were found by a bunch of scientists or a bunch of people who work for a particular science group. But one of those characters was Slade Wilson. Of course, you know Slade Wilson is Deathstroke. Right off the bat, this is completely different from the actual origin of the Teen Titans. But of course, you have Slade Wilson finding this family that was traveling through space, but of course had a very complicated landing system. And of course, the parents died, but the baby survived. And so you had Slade and the rest of these scientists take the baby in, and the dream sequence ends on that note. But then we come to find out who was basically the person having that dream. It was Raven. And right off the bat, we do learn that Raven in Earth 1 is Native American, and she actually does live on a reservation for Native Americans in New Mexico. Now, of course, when she does wake up, of course, having that dream did cause some kind of effect on her, where of course she has to throw up, because that dream felt like it was a very real thing that happened in the past. And of course, she's wondering, did that actually happen to somebody? If it did, why am I having that dream? Now, of course, you do have Raven go outside her home where she is confronted by her grandfather. Now, right off the bat, her granddad can tell that something is wrong with Raven, that basically she went through something. And of course, she's trying not to tell him, but he can say, listen, I can tell that you had another vision. And so, of course, is grandpa calling her dream a vision? And of course, he tells her that, listen, those visions are trying to tell you something important. And I would know because I used to have those visions, but the day you were born, the visions stopped coming to me and of course began to come to you. And so the visions are right now are trying to tell you something important. And so honestly, you may try to listen or actually kind of read into those visions to learn more about what is trying to actually tell you, because it could actually help you down the road. But then we jump over to Oregon, where of course we actually pick up with Terra. Now, of course, we all know in the original Teen Titans, Terra has the ability of, well, Earth-like abilities, controlling the Earth around her. Now, with that being said, though, in Earth 1, as we can see right now, Terra is just your regular teenage girl. Now, here's the thing though. She does have a problem with her mother. We can tell that basically their relationship is not that great. It's very rocky. And no, that was not a pun towards basically Terra's powers. Because of course, as we all know, Terra does have the ability to control the earth around her, the ground around her. But of course, you do have Terra asking her mom to give her a ride to school, and you have her mom say like, no, I can't do that for you. I'm not feeling so good right now. Can you just walk there or take the bus? And of course, you do have Terra say yes, but this kind of gives us a hint that basically Terra's mother could be an alcoholic. But then we kind of find out very quickly that basically Beast Boy is also in the book. Now, of course, when we actually do see Beast Boy, right now, Beast Boy is your regular teenage boy who's going to his first day of school and being driven there by one of his fathers. And of course, it's Gar being very nervous about going to high school. But then we jump right back over to Terra. And basically right now, you have Terra arriving on school on time. Now, when she does arrive at school, she's kind of used as a way to kind of give us another character that is going to be very important for the storyline, but also a fan favorite classic character. And of course, that character is Cyborg. And of course, we come to find out that basically Terra and Cyborg are dating one another. Now, of course, with these two characters dating one another, we kind of get the idea that basically they're the bad couple. They do bad things, and of course, they tick off their parents a lot because they do a lot of bad things. And also, their parents do not like the idea of these two characters dating one another. But of course, it's kind of like, hey, here we are, they're teenagers, they do crazy things, and here's Cyborg now in Earth 1, Teen Titans Volume 1. Now, of course, that is the moment we actually do see Cyborg's mother appear. And Cyborg's mother is kind of like a hard you-know-what. She's always on her son's butt and making sure that basically he follows the school rules and makes sure he's a good student. Now, on top of that, she does not like the idea of her son dating Terra because Terra is a troubled child and her mother is also a troubled person. But either way, you do have Cyborg's mom appear, and she's all like, listen, I'm a teacher here, and I want to make sure that my child, one, follow the rules, but two, doesn't embarrass me by being here to school and doing crazy things. Now, we actually do jump over to the classroom. And of course, the classroom is where you have all the characters coming together. So Terra, Victor, and also Gar, aka Beast Boy. Now, of course, when Garfield kind of says his name, you do have Cyborg make fun of him. And this shows that basically Cyborg is more of like a bully in this universe. He's more kind of a jerk. And of course, he does make fun of Garfield, which honestly kind of shocked me because in the original DC universe, Beast Boy and Cyborg are close friends. And of course, in the cartoon show we had growing up, Beast Boy and Cyborg, again, were close friends. But either way, right now, you have Cyborg actually picking on Garfield because Garfield's name is kind of weird to Cyborg. But while you have everybody laughing and stuff like that, and you do have Victor Stone's mother kind of calm the classroom down, we also get introduced to another character, and that character is Joseph Wilson, of course the son of Slade Wilson. And he is also going to be very important for this storyline. But then we jump over to lunch. Now, this setting right here is very important for two different reasons. The first is that basically you have Victor Stone realize that his mother right now has been hanging out with the new kid, Joseph Wilson, of course, the son of Slade Wilson. Now, with that being said, is Cyborg wondering why is his mom trying to hang out with his kid so much? Like, what's so special about this kid that his mother wants to see so much and actually talk to so much? But right after that, though, you then have Victor Stone tell Tara that he feels sick, that he needs to go to the bathroom. And so, of course, you do have Victor run to the bathroom. Now, his mom tried to stop him because his mom wants him to kind of show Joey around the school. But, of course, you have Victor tell his mom, no, not a good time. I gotta go. I don't feel good. Something is wrong with me. And so, of course, he does run into the bathroom. Now, that is the moment where we actually do pick up with Cyborg in the bathroom. And when he does, we actually begin the process of seeing Cyborg get his powers, or his powers actually activating. And this is huge because when he does pull up his shirt, he does see that basically part of his skin is turning into metal. And of course, it's kind of like, okay, he is becoming Cyborg-like in a way. Now, he thought he was in the bathroom by himself, but of course, he was not, and that is the moment you have Garfield walk out, of course, Beast Boy. Now, Beast Boy does see what's happening to Cyborg, and you have Garfield wondering, hey, what's happening to you? But you have Victor tell Garfield, hey, listen, you didn't see anything, and you better not tell anybody at all. And you have Cyborg run out. Now, of course, when he does run into Tara. And when he does, you do have Tara kind of like, hey, are you okay? Because you seem very stressed and also you're in the bathroom for a very long time. But then you have Garfield walk out saying like, oh, it's my bad. I basically bombed the bathroom. It smells really bad in there. If I was you, I will not go in there at all at the moment. Now, that is the moment where we actually pick up with Joseph Wilson arriving home to his house, or his home on a boat. But either way, though, he is confronted by Slade Wilson, his father. Now, this is Slade Wilson basically want to know how was his son's first day at school. The problem is, though, you kind of have Joseph giving Slade the cold shoulder. And the reason why, because Joseph honestly feels like his father does not care much about what his son actually likes. Because you have Joseph say, I'm kind of happy I did go to that new school because Eleanor, of course, Cyborg's mother, has showed Joseph a lot of great things that Joseph actually likes. But when it comes to Joseph and Slade, Slade only wants to talk about sports. And for Joseph does not like sports at all. And so right now it's Joseph kind of building a bond with Eleanor, the mother of Cyborg, rather than his own father. Now, that is the moment where we actually do pick up with Tara and Cyborg making out in his mom's car. Of course, he basically stole his mom's car to meet Tara so that they can have a good old makeout session. Now, this is a couple that is kind of going through some things. And of course, Tara feels like Cyborg is not telling her something that could be very important, that could basically affect their relationship. And of course, she's right. Is Cyborg not telling her about what's happening right now to his skin? And that basically right now his skin is turning to metal. And so you have Cyborg say, fine, I need to tell you something very important. And so that is the moment you have Cyborg basically show Tara what's happening right now with his skin. And that basically his skin is turning to metal. Now, of course, when she goes to touch his skin, well, that is the moment it kind of comes to life. like it's some kind of symbiote wanting a new host or trying to expand to another host. But either way, though, right now it's her realizing that, oh my God, this is what you have been hiding from me. But right after she had basically touched Cyborg's skin, well, that is the moment you have Cyborg and Tara both see some kind of lady. They're having this vision where this random lady is trying to talk to them, but of course, the way she speaks is a language they have no idea how to speak it. And so, of course, they don't understand what she's trying to tell them. But of course, when they both come back to, they both realize they both had the same vision. The problem is, though, Tara freaks out and she leaves. But when she does leave, you have Cyborg out of the car. He looks down and the ground is cracked. And of course, it tells us that Tara Powers has also activated as well. Now, of course, we actually do jump over to Garfield, aka Beast Boy, but right now he's not Beast Boy just yet. But right now we kind of see him having dinner with his two fathers. And of course, it's kind of establishing that basically when it comes to Garfield, he has a good family life. Like him and his parents, they have a good bond, there's no problems, but of course you do have his fathers wondering, hey, are you okay? Because it seems like something is wrong with you. And of course it's Garfield saying, I just have a headache. But of course kind of hinting the idea that basically Garfield powers could be activating very soon. But then we actually jump over to Joseph Wilson, remember, the son of Slade Wilson. And honestly, this page right here is just him on the beach, just kind of drawing. And honestly, I can't tell you what was the actual purpose of this page. Maybe it's just telling us that he's an artist, and that's really it. Besides that, I have no idea why we have this page here for. Now, of course, we jump back over to Victor, and this is Victor basically going back home to his mom. Now, of course, he does tell his mom, hey, mom, listen, I stole your car to go and meet with Tara. And of course, you have his mom very upset with the idea that he had basically stole her car to use her car to go meet that girl, Tara. And matter of fact, we kind of find out that basically Eleanor, the mother of Cyborg, does not like Tara at all. She even says, I do not like her, and I hate the idea of you hanging out with her, especially because her mom has some problems. But then you have Cyborg say, Mom, be quiet. I need to tell you something very important. I need you to see something very important. And of course, it's Cyborg showing his mother that basically his skin is turning to metal. Now, of course, you would think that his mom would freak out, but she does not freak out. Instead, she says, oh my God, it's finally happening. Which of course means she knew that this day could have possibly come. Now that is the moment where we actually jump over to Tara. And of course, it's Tara kind of doing the same thing Cyborg did, which is going home to her mother and telling her mother, hey mom, this is what's happening to me right now. Like something big has happened to me and I need to talk to you about what's basically happening to me. Now, of course, when she gets home, of course, it's confirmed that her mother is an alcoholic. And of course, you do have Tara kind of upset with the idea that her mom is now drinking. And so, of course, it's no longer Tara saying, hey, mom, I have something very important to tell you. It's now more of like, hey, mom, why are you drinking? I'm very mad at you for drinking right now. Like, why in the world are you drinking? Now, of course, that is the moment you do have her mom kind of get upset with Tara for Tara being mad at her for basically drinking. And this, of course, does lead into an argument between the two characters. But while they're arguing, of course, that is the moment you do have Tara powers basically activate. Of course, causing a small earthquake to happen in the area. And so that tells Tara's mother, oh my God, your powers have basically activated. Now, of course, all the weird things are not just happening to Cyborg and Tara. They're also happening to Garfield as well. Because getting back over to Garfield, while he's kind of hanging out with his fathers, well, that is the moment he begins to say something that's not even a normal language on Earth. And of course, you have his fathers kind of like, what in the world did you just say? Because that language was not normal. What are you saying right now? But of course, that is the moment you have Garfield kind of pass out in front of his fathers. Now, getting back over to Cyborg for one more page, this is the moment where we basically do see Eleanor telling her son that she knew something like this was going to happen. And of course, it's Cyborg's wondering, why in the world did his mom plan this to happen? Like, what is she not telling him? What in the world is going on? Now, of course, you do have Eleanor trying to calm her son down, but of course, he's kind of like, no, I know you're basically hiding something from me. What in the world is going on, Mom? What did you basically do to me? And that is the moment where we basically get a few pages that are basically jumping between different settings, but really focusing on the different characters that are very important for this book. So Tara, Garfield, Joseph as well, and also Cyborg. And how basically right now, they're all kind of going through some kind of change. Now, when I say all, I really mean just Tara, Cyborg, and Garfield. When it seems to Joseph, he's not going through a change right now. But either way, though, you do have all four characters kind of being contacted by our mysterious character we saw at the very beginning of our video, but also kind of here and there in later parts of the video, where basically right now, you kind of have her calling out for help. She's saying, I need help. Can you guys please help me? And her saying what she's saying, I need help, please come save me. And it does seem like right now, this mysterious character is basically right now locked in some kind of laboratory. But then we actually jump over to Joseph Wilson. And basically it is Joseph Wilson kind of telling us who was that lady that was basically contacting him, or contacting every single one of them. And that is the moment we kind of find out that that was basically Starfire. And so that means the family we saw earlier that was traveling in space in Raven's dream, that was basically Starfire, her family, traveling through space. But apparently once they were on Earth, or they crashed on Earth and her parents died, she was basically taken in. And the question is though now, where is she being held at? Now, of course, you do have all four main characters right now arrive at the same beach location that Joseph Wilson was at. And of course, it's all of them kind of realizing that all of their powers are beginning to activate. But the question is though, what are they though? Because it's very weird how all their powers are turning on today at the same time. And of course, Eleanor, the mother of Cyborg, knew that this day was going to come. Now, we actually do jump back over to Raven. And remember, Raven right now lives on a Native American reservation where basically right now she is talking to her grandfather. And you do have her grandfather basically kind of asking more questions about the visions that she are seeing. And of course, in her vision, she sees four people. Of course, she's talking about Joseph, Tara, Cyborg, and Garfield. Now, of course, you do have her grandfather say, you're not going crazy. Those visions are very important, but I do want to show you something very important, which is that basically you have her grandfather take Raven to a cave. Inside this cave, there are a bunch of symbols. And of course, each of those symbols represent a different character. And of course, some of those symbols are characters we're going to see in Volume 2 of Earth 1 Teen Titans. But either way, though, she says, here's your symbol. But here's the thing. You are the chosen one to save the rest of them. And of course, you need to save the person who's in the middle of all these different symbols. And the question is, though, is that symbol in the middle Starfire? I almost said Starfield. Starfire. But either way, though, it's Raven kind of wondering what else is going on with her and the rest of these characters that she now has some kind of connection to. Now, that is the moment where we actually do see all the parents of all our characters coming together and having a meeting. And of course, it's all the parents basically telling each other that the day has finally come, where of course all the kids' powers are basically activating. Now, here's the thing though. You do have Eleanor kind of happy with what's happening right now, but the rest of the parents, they're not happy with what's actually happening. Like right now, they were kind of hoping that this day would never come, but of course it did. And so now they must basically handle this situation. Now you do have Eleanor kind of kill off one of the fathers of Beast Boy, and the reason why, because that father was basically talking some mad smack towards Eleanor, and so of course she shot him and killed him. Now after that, you do have Eleanor tell Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, you need to go out there and basically track them down and bring them to us. Now, of course, you do have Slade ask, how in the world is he going to find them? And she says they're going to the crash site. And of course, this crash site is going to be very important for this entire story. Of course, that is the moment you do have the Teen Titans be confronted by Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. Now, of course, a lot of fans did not like the idea of what Deathstroke looked like. And matter of fact, I did not like it either. He looks ridiculous. But either way, though, this is Deathstroke basically doing his job. He's basically coming out of the Teen Titans to bring to Eleanor Stone. Now, of course, you do have the Teen Titans try to fight against him. The problem is, though, guys, this is a teenage team that just came together right now, and they have no idea how to use their new powers. They're trying their best, but of course, they do not stand a chance against somebody who clearly has been training for this or any other kind of moment like this for years on years. And so right now, this is not a fair fight for a Teen Titans, but of course, they have no choice. They have to keep fighting against Slade Wilson. Now, of course, while you have most of the characters fighting against Slade Wilson, you still have Joey kind of like, hey, maybe we should go with him. Maybe he can give us answers that we are looking for. And so it's kind of like Joey being that one guy out, where of course you have everybody else on guard, and Joey's kind of like, no. Let's trust Eleanor Stone. Let's trust my father. Like, let's do all these different things. And of course, you have the rest of the Titans saying, no, we cannot trust them. They are bad guys. Now, we actually do jump over to the Lighthouse facility, where basically we pick up with Eleanor Stone and the rest of the parents of the rest of the Teen Titans. And right now, you do have Eleanor Stone kind of right now basically talking to the other parents about what's the next phases for this project. But on top of that, of course, we do come to find out that basically they are holding Starfire here. And of course, we do get confirmation that when it came to Starfire and her family, they did travel across space, and of course they did arrive on Earth. But of course, Starfire's family died completely and only left behind Starfire. And of course, when they took Starfire in, she was a baby. But of course, with 16 years passing by, Starfire is beginning to kind of evolve, change, getting stronger. And of course, it's Eleanor Stone wondering what is coming next for Starfire. But then we actually pick up with Raven. And when we do, we actually do see that Raven was in contact with Starfire like the other Teen Titans were earlier. And of course, it was Raven kind of finishing this connection with Starfire, where of course she does learn that Starfire's name, Starfire needs help, a lot of different things about Starfire. But of course, you do have Raven just completely pass out. And of course, it does freak out her grandfather. He's all like, granddaughter, what happened to you? Why on the ground right now? And so, of course, he does run to basically get her some kind of help. But then we jump over to Slade fighting against the Teen Titans. Now, while he's fighting against the Teen Titans, of course, this is Slade basically saying like, hey, listen, none of us were your parents. Like, I'm going to tell you this right now. The people that you thought were your mother or father, they never were your mother or father. Instead, they were basically people who were just placed to watch over you. Like, you have no parents, actually. I mean, you might have parents, but right now it's not us. And of course, this only comes out because it's Tara thinking that Slade had possibly killed her father, because her father just had disappeared. And of course, it's her thinking that her father was basically killed by Slade, this guy who's kind of like an assassin right now. But it's Slade saying, we were never your parents. Why don't you get that? Like, basically, everything you thought you loved about your parents, yeah, it was all fake completely. But then we jump over to Raven again. Now, this is Raven still having a connection with Starfire. And of course, with this connection, it is Raven kind of realizing that Starfire needs some kind of help, that Starfire is right now trapped somewhere. But of course, it's also her realizing that basically the other Teen Titans also need help. And so, of course, once she kind of ends her connection with Starfire, of course, you do have Raven talk to her grandfather. Like, I realize that she needs help, but they also need help. And so you have her grandfather kind of unlock this hidden ability, like her true Raven powers. And he tells her, you need to fly over to them. You basically need to help them. And so, of course, she basically does teleport over to Slade Wilson. Now, when she does teleport over to Slade Wilson, it is basically her seeing that Slade Wilson is fighting against the rest of the Teen Titans. And so, of course, she knows that basically she has to help them out. She has to protect them. And so what she does is that she kind of blasts something towards his head. And when she does that, of course, it seems like she had just killed him, because as soon as that blast hit his head and goes through his head, but not actually cutting through his head, he just passes out. And of course, everyone is wondering, hey, did she just kill off Slade Wilson? But of course, you have her kind of freak out and she basically leaves, leaving the Teen Titans to wonder, who was she and what did she just do to Slade Wilson? Now, right after Raven leaves, you do have the rest of the Teen Titans basically say, okay, who was she? What was that? And what in the world is going on? Because that girl just came out of nowhere, took out Slade, and then she basically left just like that. Like, what in the world is going on? And of course, you do have the Teen Titans basically say, hey, Slade's not dead. He is alive, but he is knocked out thanks to her. Now, of course, you do have the Teen Titans realize that was not Starfire. That basically, that was somebody else. Of course, they have no idea that was Raven. But of course, they're wondering, okay, who was she though? Now, you do have the characters still kind of freaking out about the idea that basically the people who kind of raised them, watched over them, fed them, all of that, were not really their parents at all. That basically they were just people who were placed by some kind of project group to watch over these kids and hoping that one day their powers would actually activate or develop. But either way though, you do have Cyborg, and most of the Teen Titans, minus Tara, say that they should go to the lighthouse to basically save Starfire, but to hopefully get some answers on what in the world is going on with them. Now Tara, she does not want to go. She just wants to disappear and forget all about this. But of course, this is Cyborg, her boyfriend, asking her to come with me. Like, basically, come with me. I need you right now. Because it could have answers on basically what in the world is going on with us, or it could have something there for us that could basically cure us. So why not go together to basically figure out what in the world is going on? But then we jump back over to Raven, and we come to find out that basically what happened earlier was Raven kind of sent an astral form of herself to go help with the Teen Titans, but her actual body stayed with her grandfather in New Mexico. But of course, when she wakes up, she realized what she actually did, and of course, it's kind of a lot to process. And so you have her grandfather being that great grandfather to basically help her kind of realize what she did and to comfort her. But then we actually jump over to Eleanor Stone. And of course, some of the parents who are still left alive are not knocked out, still at the lab trying to figure out what's in the world is going on with Starfire. Because with her kind of aging and evolving, she's no longer able to be controlled. And sooner or later, she's going to break free. And if she does, it could technically lead to more problems down the road. But basically right now, you do have some of the higher ups for this company coming to Eleanor and saying, you have two choices right now. You could go ahead and let us kill Starfire, or you can try to control her again, but if you can't control her, we're going to kill her. So basically, I'm hoping you can control her so this project can still go on. Because we kind of find out that Eleanor Stone is the person in charge of this project, but she's not the one in charge of this entire company, because this company is part of Star Labs. Now, of course, the higher ups say the timer has been started. If you cannot get her under control, once the timer ends, the virus we made for her will basically go in her bloodstream and basically kill her off. And then this project is basically canceled. Now, you do have this higher up tell Eleanor, but at least we still have the Blackfire project still going. And of course, it's another special project that could possibly play a role in future books of Earth 1 and Teen Titans. Now, you do have the Teen Titans being able to kind of find a pathway that could basically lead them to the main parts of the lab. And so, of course, you do have the Teen Titans begin to take this pathway that could lead them to the lab and to hopefully save Starfire. Now, you do have most of the Teen Titans actually want to kind of continue and see what in the world is going on. But one character does not want to, and that character is Joseph Wilson, because right now he's kind of like, maybe we should not come here. Maybe we should leave. Like, coming here was a bad idea. But of course, the Teen Titans want to still continue on. And while they're doing that, of course, they're kind of seeing different kind of containers that were labeled. And of course, you can see the names on these projects, these containers. And of course, they're telling us these containers belong to the Teen Titans. You know, Changeling, Cyborg, Terra. Like, basically tell us the Teen Titans were made here in this lighthouse. And of course, they were made here, but somehow they got powers. How in the world were they given powers? Now, of course, you still have Eleanor trying her best to kind of hopefully stop what's happening to Starfire, get her back under control so that this project can basically continue on. But of course, that is the moment you do have a security guard coming to her and saying like, hey, got some word for you. Slade Wilson, he got taken down and basically the children are here right now. What should we do? And you have Eleanor say, okay, the kids are here, then fine. Let's go ahead and get rid of them. How many guys you have left? How many guards? Hope it's enough. Is there enough? If there is, go ahead and kill them. Get rid of them. It's probably for the best. Now, of course, you do have the Teen Titans kind of looking at these different containers. And when they do look at these different containers, they can see the different names on these containers. And they realize that basically these containers were their containers. Like, basically when they were being experimented on, they were kept in these containers. And of course they had different code names like Cyborg, Changeling, Terra, which of course she didn't have a code name. But either way though, it's Cyborg and the others realizing that they were kept in here. Now, you do have Joey also tell the Teen Titans, hey guys, look over there. And that is the moment we come to find out there is another Teen Titan in this book. And of course, it is Tempest, who was another member of the Teen Titans back in the main DC universe. And so you have the Teen Titans find Tempest. And this is huge because you're kind of like, okay, that means there could possibly be other experiments out there in the world who are possibly just other Teen Titans characters. And of course, there is the Blackfire project that we heard about earlier that could be very important for later books down the road. But right now, you have the Teen Titans basically find Tempest. But of course, that is the moment you have the Teen Titans realize they are not alone. And so, of course, that is the moment you do have the Teen Titans basically be confronted by Eleanor and the guards, who were at first going to kill off the Teen Titans. But this is Eleanor kind of hoping that basically she'll be able to convince the Teen Titans to actually work with her and keep this project alive. But of course, this is how we find out the origin of the Teen Titans, how they basically got their powers. And you have Eleanor tell us that when it comes to the Teen Titans, basically, when Starfire came to Earth, when her family crashed on Earth, and of course they died, but she survived, you had Star Labs basically take Starfire in. But they realized that her alien DNA could do something special for humans down the road. And so, of course, they took her DNA and began to apply it to regular humans. Now, the problem was, though, most of those humans died. And the reason why, because they were adults. And so that is where the Teen Titans come in. Because you have Eleanor say that with the Teen Titans being a bunch of kids who had no parents because their parents abandoned them or had possibly died, and these kids were in foster care, you had Eleanor say, look, how about we take these kids out of foster care, do some testing on them with the alien DNA to see that basically if they can survive the change, the process, but on top of that, maybe we can give these kids some kind of home. Because again, they were growing up in a foster care. And so, of course, Eleanor thought that she was doing the Teen Titans a favor. The problem is, though, while she's talking, you do have Beast Boy see one of his fathers is dead. Because earlier, Eleanor did kill off one of the fathers of Beast Boy. And so you do have Beast Boy actually get very angry, and he does cut the throat of Eleanor Stone. Now, of course, this does start a somewhat battle between the Teen Titans and the security guard, but you do have Cyborg go to his mother, because this is Cyborg basically upset with the idea that the person that he thought was his mother, the person that he actually thought had raised him, taken care of him, and actually cared for him, well, she never did. And of course, she only raised him because he was part of a project. And so, of course, he is very upset and he wants to shut everything down. But Eleanor does have one more thing up her sleeve. And she does tell Joey, okay, Joey, it's time for you to do your thing. And of course, you have Joey say, my name is not Joey. My name is Jericho. And of course, he begins the process of using his powers. And of course, that is the moment you do have Jericho begin to use his powers, where basically he is able to possess your body. Basically take his body, go inside your body, and you're basically possessed by Jericho. And of course, you do have Eleanor tell the Teen Titans that when it comes to Joseph, Joseph knows a lot of different things about their abilities. And of course, that means that with the Teen Titans, they're still kind of figuring out what their abilities are. But for Jericho, being Eleanor's special student, he knew a lot about their abilities that they have no idea about. And of course, it does give him the edge to kind of take over their bodies and use their abilities on their friends to basically take each other out. And of course, it's her technically winning right now until somebody else actually steps in. And of course, that person is Slade Wilson. Slade caught up and he's kind of like, you know what? I'm done with all of this. Basically, it's time for me to go ahead and stop all of this right now. I'm on the kid's side. I'm going to stop you, Eleanor, but also get my son back. It's Slade kind of saying, I looked at Joey as my son and I'm going to get him back. Now, here's how Joey Wilson powers work, or Jericho powers basically work. He has to actually look at you in the eyes to take over your body. If he doesn't, then he's unable to actually take over your body. And so, of course, you have Deathstroke saying, I know how your powers work, and I know how to defend myself to stop you from actually taking over my body. Now, this does lead into a battle again, but of course, in the middle of the battle, you do have Deathstroke trying to kill off Eleanor. But while you have those two characters kind of struggling against one another, you do have Eleanor being able to kind of take out Cyborg by hitting a button that basically kind of shuts down the metal parts of Cyborg's body. But on top of that, it does take Deathstroke by surprise, which of course his eyes are now wide open, and that is all Jericho needs to basically take over somebody's body, and of course he does take over his own father's body. And of course, you do have Jericho basically trying to make Deathstroke kill his own father. Now, Deathstroke is a very strong fighter, and also Deathstroke knows how to fight against his son. And so this is Deathstroke trying to prevent himself from being killed by his own son. Because right now you have Joey possessing the body of Deathstroke and trying to make Deathstroke kill himself. The problem is though, Deathstroke is a strong fighter. Now, you do have Jericho leaving the body of Deathstroke thinking that basically he did enough to make Deathstroke basically kill himself, but Deathstroke stopped himself from killing himself. He swung his blade, but when he did that, Jericho was leaving the body of Deathstroke, and that blade swung across Jericho's throat. And of course, meaning that Jericho is basically about to die. And so you have Deathstroke say, to save your life, son, go ahead and take my body back again so that you can live. And hopefully we can find some way to basically help you and me both. Now, of course, we have to remember there was a countdown for Starfire's life. And of course, that meaning that, hey, if the timer goes down to 0, the failsafe is going to go off and basically some kind of virus will be injected into her bloodstream that is basically going to kill her. And so, of course, you do have Eleanor kind of begging the Teen Titans to save Starfire. Is Eleanor kind of feeling bad for Starfire now after everything, but also for the kids as well? But at the same time, is Eleanor kind of hoping that basically her project can live on if the Teen Titans basically save Starfire? Now, you do have Cyborg tell Eleanor that they are no longer mother and son, that he's not doing this for her. Instead, he's doing this for Starfire because he realized what his mom and the rest of this Star Lab group had basically did to Starfire, and it is completely wrong. And so, of course, you do have Cyborg and the rest of the Teen Titans being able to break Starfire free. Now, of course, once you have the Teen Titans being able to break Starfire free, you have Starfire see you know who, Eleanor, and you have Starfire ticked off like you have caused me so many pains over the years. Now, of course, you do have Eleanor kind of like, hey, listen, it's in the past. Let's move on. Please forgive me. But of course, is Starfire kind of like, no, I cannot forgive you. Like, you basically did horrible things to me over the years. Why in the world would I forgive you? And so, of course, you do have Starfire basically kill off Eleanor. Now, of course, with her being dead, you do have the Teen Titans kind of like, yay, we're free. But of course, you have Starfire say that she needs to help somebody else. Now, we have no idea who she's talking about, but of course, you do have Starfire basically leave to go help that person out. And of course, she just leaves the Teen Titans behind. Now, of course, with Starfire being gone, you now have the Teen Titans wondering, okay, what do we do next? Because Starfire is now gone. She basically dished us. We have no way of following her. Our power is still developing. We have no money, nowhere to go. Like, what can we do? And of course, you do have Tara just want to leave them behind. She's kind of like, I'm done with this. Leave me alone. I'm out. But then she's kind of like, I still love Cyborg and I want him to come. But you have Cyborg kind of like, we need a plan first because we can't just go anywhere. Look at me. Look at Beast Boy. You're the only person who looks normal right now, Tara. Like, we just can't leave and go in the world thinking that everything's going to be okay. But of course, that is the moment you do have Tara's mother appear. And she says, go to Utah. Go to Utah. And the reason why, because there is another facility. And of course, that facility is running Project Blackfire. You need to go there to basically figure out what in the world is going on. And of course, you might get more answers over there. But then you do have Tara's mother say, but you need to go now. Because right now, you're going to have a bunch of guards coming here to basically kill you guys off. Because you guys are a project, they don't want you guys to get out there to the public. And so, of course, if they find you here, they're going to kill you. But before you leave, please take him with you. Of course, she is talking about Tempest. And so you do have the Teen Titans basically leave her behind, which of course she's going to die because she was part of that project. But you do have the Teen Titans being able to escape with Tempest, and they head towards Utah. But to go ahead and kind of wrap up this story, we actually do pick up with Raven. And you do have Raven basically tell us that it has been 4 days since she last saw the Teen Titans. And of course, she's kind of wondering what happened to them. She has no idea what happened to them because she had no more visions of them. But of course, she feels like something else is going to happen. And of course, she does go to a cave. And when she does, she is confronted by Starfire. And you have Starfire kind of like, I need your help. And book 1 ends on that note right there. So with that, what's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are basically going to continue our coverage over Earth 1 Teen Titans. Now, we're going to cover Volume 2 in today's video. Now, with that being said, though, remember, when it comes to Earth 1 comics, Earth 1 is basically an alternate universe and the DC's multiverse that is kept far away from the main DC universe. Now, when it comes to Earth 1 comics, you have to remember that Earth 1 comics are really more graphic novels. And graphic novels are not your regular comic books. Your regular comic books are like 20, 25 pages, sometimes 30 or more. But when it comes to a graphic novel, they're usually like 60 pages or more. And on top of that, they're telling an entire story in one sitting, in one book. And so when it came to Teen Titans Earth 1, Volume 1, the first volume was a graphic novel. It was an entire storyline told in one particular book. But now we're going to cover Volume 2, the second story for Teen Titans on Earth 1. Now, you have to remember that when it came to Earth 1 comics, DC gave writers more freedom to retell the origins of the characters that fans love so much, but also in a new universe. And so you had writers come in and just rework the origins of some old loved characters in this new universe. So Superman's origin was a tad bit different. Batman's origin was a tad bit different. Wonder Woman's origin was a tad bit different. But when it comes to the Teen Titans, their origin is completely different from the main DC universe. And as we go through Volume 2, I'll explain more why I say that. Because if you're new to my channel and you have no idea about what Earth 1 Teen Titans is all about, but you don't want to go watch Volume 1, I understand. And so as we go through Volume 2, I will explain different things you need to know to get a better understanding about what's happening with the Teen Titans in Earth 1 comics. Now, to begin today's comic book video, we actually pick up with Tara in Seattle, trying to gather supplies. Remember, after Volume 1, the Teen Titans are on the run because most of the Teen Titans don't look normal and could freak out the public, could lead to more problems for the Teen Titans. Now remember that in the last story, the Teen Titans found out they had powers that came from alien DNA that was given to them when they were babies. Of course, that alien DNA came from Starfire because she crashed on Earth and her family died. Star Labs, who are evil in this universe, came in, grabbed her, and gave her DNA to the babies. Those babies grew up and became the Teen Titans. Now, they only found out about Star Labs' alien DNA and that Starfire was being held against her will thanks to some information given to them. You have the Teen Titans break her free, shut down Star Labs that she was in, and left. But because they have nowhere to go, they're hiding out in Seattle. Now, they were told to go to Oregon to stop Project Blackfire, but we have no idea what that project is. Either way, getting back to Terra, we see her gathering supplies, and then she leaves by using her powers, which is seismic waves, to get supplies back to the rest of her crew. And remember, her crew is Cyborg, Beast Boy, and Tempest. Now, we actually do pick up with Deathstroke. Now, remember, Deathstroke is not truly evil like his main DC Universe counterpart. Now, in the last volume, we did learn that he does work for Star Labs, and matter of fact, he's kind of like their assassin, not really assassin, more of kind of like their soldier, their great warrior that they use to complete different missions. But on top of that, he has trained other soldiers who work for Star Labs as well. Now, with that being said, though, after the Teen Titans, when they were babies and they had received their alien DNA, you had Star Labs give each child over to a set of parents, fake parents, to basically raise these kids, but to also keep notes on these kids when their powers actually do manifest. And Deathstroke was one of those fake parents, and he actually was watching over Jericho. Now, Jericho does have the ability to possess your body, but he has to actually look into your eyes to actually possess your body. But back in Volume 1, he had possessed the body of his own father, or his stepfather, Deathstroke. Now, he's stuck in that body because in the last volume, when he was trying to jump from body to body, his throat got slit. And when his throat got slit, it was a very bad thing, because that means now if he does leave the body of Deathstroke, he will basically die. And so he's stuck in the body of Deathstroke until they're able to figure out how to save his life. But right now, we actually do see Jericho taking the body of Deathstroke to see a certain kind of doctor. And of course, this doctor is the one who is in charge of Star Labs completely. Now, with all that being said, though, Deathstroke wants to break away from Star Labs. He no longer wants to work for them. He wants to take his son, find his son a new body so his son can possess that new body, and they can live a father and son life together like he always wanted. But when it comes to Jericho, he was the only Teen Titan from the first group who basically believed in this mysterious doctor. And it feels like our mysterious doctor is the one he should be following orders from. He looks at the mysterious doctor as his actual father, because this was the guy who took the alien DNA from Starfire and gave it to the babies, who then grew up and became the Teen Titans. But we do learn who our mysterious doctor is. It is Niles Calder, and Niles Calder is going to be the main bad guy for this storyline. But getting back over to the rest of the Teen Titans, we actually do see them right now hiding out in undeveloped homes that were originally supposed to be made, like this entire neighborhood, but the project was canceled for the time being. And so you have a lot of houses that were just not finished, but the Teen Titans are hiding out in those homes. Now, with that being said, though, we can see that tension is very high, because you're talking about a group of teenagers right now on the run from Star Labs, but also trying to stay hidden from the public, because what most of them look like, they're going through a lot right now. So tension is very high. And so you have Terra come home. She's angry because she had to use her powers to lose the cops. You have Beast Boy questioning her like she's some kind of rookie when it comes to staying hidden from the world. And you have her kind of yell back at him. But it shows how high the tension actually is. Now, when it comes to Cyborg, back in Volume 1, we did see the beginning of his body slowly turning into a cyborg's body. But by Volume 2, his body is mostly covered in metal. And he does tell Terra that it seems like he's losing all of his human side of his cyborg body, meaning that he's becoming more machine and less than a man, because he's no longer able to feel certain kind of things like, crying or sad, happy, anger. And of course, he begins to feel like he'll no longer be able to feel Terra at all. That means her hands, her kisses, none of that. But for the time being, because his body is not completely covered up, you do have Tara give Cyborg a kiss to say, do you feel that? And you have Cyborg say, yes, I do feel that. And so once she's able to kind of cheer up Cyborg, it also cheers her up as well. And she does go to apologize to Beast Boy because she was rude to him earlier, but at the same time, he was questioning her like no other. Either way, though, you do have the crew like come together and show that they do care for each other and they're going to watch each other's back for how long that will take. Now, the story does jump back over to Jericho, Deathstroke, and Dr. Caldeer. Now, you do have Jericho basically talking to the doctor and showing us that when it comes to Jericho, he's more on Star Lab's side rather than helping the Teen Titans out. And matter of fact, we saw that in our last video, because when it came to Victor Stone's mother, Eleanor, in this universe, she also worked for Star Labs. But she also was a fake parent who raised Cyborg, but to only see what would happen to Cyborg once his powers had actually manifest. But in Volume 1, we saw Jericho want to do almost anything for her. And so right now, it's the same thing all over again. He wants to help out Star Labs so bad that he's down to do anything for the doctor. And so you do have Jericho, who's in the body of Deathstroke, his father, tell the doctor, listen, even though we lost the kids, I'll find them later on. But I can find you Starfire. And matter of fact, I know where Starfire is actually at. Now, for the doctor, this is great news because Starfire is the reason why they have this entire program going. And so if they're able to capture her and bring her back here to the doctor, then the doctor can continue with all these different kinds of experiments. And so you do have the doctor tell Jericho, once again, who's in the body of Deathstroke, to go find Starfire and bring her back over here now. Now, that is the moment where we actually pick up with Starfire. Now, remember, at the end of Volume 1, we saw Starfire leave the rest of the Teen Titans behind after they had broken her free. Now, she went to go find Raven, and the reason why, because her and Raven had a very strong mental connection. When Starfire was being held against her will, she was calling out for help. And the first person to hear her called was Raven. Now, this is also the moment we kind of find out that Starfire is actually staying with Raven and her grandfather at their house. But then this leads into Starfire kind of giving us the origin of her life in Earth 1. And what she said was, back on her home world, everything was peaceful, except that was the moment they were invaded. Now, we were not told who were these aliens who had invaded her planet, but when they did, they began the process of basically destroying everything on that Earth, on that planet. Now, you have Starfire and her family leave on a jet that her father made. Except the problem was, though, as soon as they left the planet, their home world, you had their enemies, the ones who were invading their planet, begin to follow Starfire's family because they wanted to make sure that the entire race was completely wiped out. Now, we do know that after they had attacked the ship that Starfire and her family were using, they crashed on Earth. Her entire family died, but she survived. But right now, she's saying that she has to stay on Earth to basically hide from the ones who had invaded her home world. And so we kind of got a quick rundown on the origin of Starfire in Earth 1. Now, getting back over to Dr. Caldeer, Jericho, and also Deathstroke, you do have Jericho tell Dr. Caldeer that basically he knows how to track Starfire because of his father. And what Jericho says this right here, that the longer he's in control of Deathstroke's body, the more he learns how to use Deathstroke's abilities, or what Deathstroke knows how to do. And so because Deathstroke knows how to track people, Jericho now knows how to track people. And so it's Jericho saying, like, listen, I know how to find Starfire if I use my father's abilities. And so, of course, it is Jericho telling Dr. Calder, I'll find Starfire and bring her back here to you. Now, while you have the characters talking to one another, that is the moment you do have another doctor walk into the room and basically say, hey, we just got word from Seattle PD that there was a girl who was able to cause an earthquake, which of course is Tara, which of course tells these guys, oh my gosh, in Seattle, the Teen Titans, the ones from Volume 1, well, they're basically out there right now, so let's go out there and get them. Now, you didn't have Dr. Calder say, Jericho, go get Starfire. For the other kids that are out there in Seattle, I'm going to send in the Titans. And of course, that means we're about to meet or be introduced to more Teen Titan characters who are technically evil in this volume right here, who are going to go capture our first group of Teen Titans Volume 1. And so getting back over to the Teen Titans who are right now hiding out in Seattle and really just minding their business, well, of course, that is the moment they begin to hear something. And you have everybody wake up wondering, what is that sound they technically hear? Well, then they realize what they're hearing is actually a helicopter, which means that Dr. Calder's Star Labs group has found them in Seattle, and now they're going to send in the Titans. Now, of course, this gives us the ability to be introduced to 3 new Titan characters for Earth 1 comics. First up is Cassandra Sandmark, Wonder Girl. You also have Wally West, but Wally West goes by the name Impulse in this universe. And you also have Cole. Now, Cole is a character I kind of want to talk about just real quick, because Cole is a character that most fans don't know about. I mean, she was a Titan, but at the same time, though, she wasn't one of the popular Titans, if I want to say that right there. But basically, Cole has the ability to create crystals and use those crystals against her enemies. And also, she has flight ability. So if you're new to DC Comics and you know who Wonder Girl is and Wally West, but you had no idea who Cole was, well, there you go. Now you know who Cole actually is. But then we jump over to Raven and Starfire. Now, right now, you have Raven and Starfire still staying with Raven's grandfather, the same guy we met back in Volume 1. But while you have the 3 characters at home just minding their business, and it seems to be the moment where they're about to eat dinner, well, that is the moment Raven gets a headache. Now, this headache is really more of her powers telling her that basically the other Teen Titans, the one in Seattle, are in trouble right now. They need help. But then you have Raven say, oh my gosh, we also need help. There's some group out there that's about to attack us to get Starfire and me. And of course you have her grandfather like, ladies, run away, I'll handle them. But you have Raven and Starfire say, no, we're going to handle them. And so you do have Starfire blast her door open because there is one guy at the door. But so she sends him flying back to Deathstroke and Jericho. And we see that Raven and Starfire are about to fight against Jericho / Deathstroke in their small little army, while you have the Teen Titans from Volume 1 fighting against the Titans who work for Dr. Calder. Now, getting back over to the Teen Titans, who we met back in Volume 1, as they have been confronted by the Titans who work for Star Labs and also Dr. Calder, you do have Wally West try to convince the Teen Titans to basically just go ahead and give up. Just come in without fighting so that nobody would get hurt. But of course, when it comes to our Teen Titans from Volume 1, they're on the edge. And the reason why, because all of the things that happened back in Volume 1 put them on that edge. And so even though they see some other children who also have powers who could possibly be on their side, but we know they're not, they're kind of like, no, we can't trust you guys. After everything we went through in Volume 1, no, we can't trust anybody except ourselves. And so even though we see children just like us who has powers, we know you guys are evil. And so you do have the Teen Titans basically use their powers to defend themselves. But then you have Wally West get very upset by that and say, you know what? I was trying to go easy on you guys, but now I'm about to use my powers to whoop y'all butts, to bring y'all in. So let's go. Now, the next couple pages are really going to jump back and forth between the different battles that are taking place. So, for example, you have Raven and Starfire fighting against Jericho, while you have our Teen Titans fighting against Star Labs Titans. The story does jump back and forth to show both of these fights happening at the same time. Now, I do want to point out that when it comes to Starfire and Raven, they're actually able to hold their own. They're able to use their powers to defend themselves. But when it comes to our Teen Titans from Volume 1, well, they're trying their best, but they're getting their butt kicked from the Titans who work for Star Labs. Because the Titans who work for Star Labs, well, they have been trained for this. They know how to use their powers way better than the Teen Titans we met who just learned how to use their powers, who just got their powers. And so you see two different kinds of battles happening at the same time. Now, getting back over to the battle that Raven and Starfire are having with Deathstroke and Jericho, by the time we jump back to them, well, basically, the ladies won. They had defeated most of Deathstroke's guys. And so it really comes down to Deathstroke, who's right now being controlled by Jericho. Now, you do have Jericho thinking about using his ability, which is to jump from body to body. But once he's inside of your body, he controls your body. He possesses your body. And so he tries to use his powers on Raven to basically control her. The problem is, though, when he tries to jump from Deathstroke's body over to Raven's body, well, Raven used her powers to basically capture Jericho and put his mind, in essence, in the back of her mind. So technically right now, Raven is the one in control right now because she just basically captured Jericho. Now, that is the moment you have Starfire and Raven begin the process of asking Deathstroke questions about this whole Star Labs thing that is going on with them and the other children. And you have Deathstroke say that basically when Starfire had crashed on the Earth, of course we know the Star Labs took her in and of course used her alien DNA to give to other children. Now here comes the big thing though. After they had found Starfire, they set up two different operations, one known as Starfire and one known as Blackfire. Now, back in the main DC universe, Blackfire is usually the name for Starfire's evil sister. And so it seems like, okay, are you telling us that there is a possibility that two children survived the alien spaceship crash? One was Starfire and one is Blackfire. But we don't know yet. Either way, though, you have Deathstroke say that basically when it came to Project Starfire, the children who were used in that project, of course, the characters we met back in Volume 1, Cyborg, Tempest, Beast Boy, Terra, Jericho, they were given the alien DNA, but those children, they were basically given to fake parents so that they can have a somewhat normal life. But when it comes to the kids who were part of Project Blackfire, they didn't get that chance. They were able to get alien DNA, but they did not have any fake parents. They were really trained more to be weapons. They were given a different chance in life. And so it's Deathstroke saying that the children that Dr. Calder is using right now to capture the other Teen Titans, they're well trained because they were basically taught to be not kids, but to be weapons. Weapons used to accomplish different goals for Star Labs. But you do have Raven, Starfire, and Deathstroke working together now to basically bring down Star Labs to free all the children from this hot mess that Star Labs have basically set up. Now, we do jump back over to Dr. Calder, where you do have one of his assistants tell him that basically right now that both groups were able to capture the Teen Titans from Volume 1, but to also capture Raven and Starfire as well. And so for Dr. Calder, this is a great thing. But we already know that the Raven and Starfire story is fake. Yes, they have been captured, quotation marks, but this is a ruse to basically let Starfire and Raven and Deathstroke get back into Star Labs without any kind of trouble. Because now Deathstroke is no longer being controlled by Jericho. That means that basically they can go in there and just begin the process of taking down Star Labs. But getting back over to the Teen Titans who have been captured by Star Labs Titans, this is the moment where we actually see a conversation happen between both groups, because with our Teen Titans being captured and now wearing collars that technically do cancel out their powers, they have no choice but to talk to the Titans of Star Labs to hopefully learn what in the world do they think was actually going on. But on top of that, hope that they can convince them to let them go, because they know that Star Labs is actually evil. And so you do have the Titans of Star Labs tell us that when it comes to these Teen Titans, the ones we met back in Volume 1, they were told by Dr. Calder that basically they are part of some evil government program that is trying to control America, that's trying to control the world. But of course, right now, it's just America. That basically they're evil government agents who are trying to overtake America by using different methods. Now, we all know that is completely fake. There is no way that these kids are part of that. But you have Dr. Calder, tell the Titans of Star Labs that story to make them believe that it is true. Now, on top of that, though, you do have our Titans from Star Labs actually call Dr. Calder their father. Now, they know that he's not their actual birth father, but because he basically been the one who kind of raised them, they look at him as a father, even though he really did not do anything father-like, but he is the closest thing they have to a father. Now, on top of that, though, you do have our Teen Titans from Volume 1 say, you guys have to realize that everything he's telling you is a lie, that everything he's doing is wrong. There's no way you guys actually believe that he is a good guy. Now, Wally West and Cassandra Sandmark, they believe in Dr. Calder. Straight off the bat, they believe him. But Cole, she has some kind of doubts about him. And so we see that this conversation is beginning the process of her possibly jumping sides to basically help out the other Teen Titans who were captured by Star Labs Titans. Now, you do have everybody arrive at the facility that basically Star Labs is using. Now, Starfire and Raven are not there yet, but the Teen Titans and Star Lab Titans have arrived at the facility. And of course, they're being handed over to Dr. Calder and his guards and other scientists. Now, you do have Dr. Calder come out to meet the children, the Teen Titans from Volume 1, because he has not seen them in a very long time. Because remember, after Starfire crashed on Earth, they set up two different kinds of facilities that were far apart from one another. And so this facility is running Project Blackfire. In the last book we covered, they destroyed Project Starfire's facility. Either way, though, Project Starfire was kept far away from Project Blackfire, and so Dr. Calder never really met these kids in a very long time. But he's impressed to see what has happened to them, especially Cyborg, because his body is now mostly metal now. And so for Dr. Calder, he's very intrigued to basically learn more about their powers and what their powers can actually do. Now, with that being said, you do have Tara tell Dr. Calder that she hates him, he's nasty looking, and she'll never be a weapon for him. But you have Dr. Calder tell her, listen, I broke your mother a long time ago. Your fake mother, but I can break you. I will break you and you guys will be my perfect weapons. Now, when he says that right there, he did not say that in front of the Titans who work for Star Labs. They were sent away right after they had arrived with the Teen Titans from Volume 1. And so they have no idea, again, that basically Dr. Calder is using them to become weapons for his own evil needs. But then we get this page where you basically had a scientist begin to work on Cyborg. Now, Cyborg is the only character right now who's being tested on. But what they did was they took Cyborg and put his body right next to Starfire's spaceship to see if there's some kind of connection between the two things. And there is, because as soon as they take Cyborg's body near Starfire's spaceship, well, the metal on his body begins to move faster and covering up his body even more. And so they're realizing that basically there is some kind of connection. Now, that right there is going to be very important for the later parts of this story. But for right now, we kind of learned a tad bit more about Cyborg's body in this universe. Now, the next page do show that the Titans who work for Star Labs, they're watching Victor be tested on. But of course, while they're watching that happen to him, you didn't have them go to their game room or their playroom, whatever. But while being in their playroom, you do have the guards bring in the other Teen Titans like Terra, Tempest, and Beast Boy over to them. Now, the Titans who work for Star Labs, they're confused on why the Teen Titans are in the same room with them right now. But you have the guards say, oh, these are your new roommates. And this is another sign for the Titans who work for Star Labs should realize that you guys are all just weapons to Dr. Calder, that you're not actual children he cares about. You're just weapons he wants to use for his own personal needs. But getting back over to Dr. Calder, you do have Dr. Calder here that Starfire and Raven have arrived at the facility. Now remember, earlier he was told that Raven and Starfire have been captured by Deathstroke and Jericho because he still thinks that Jericho is in control of Deathstroke's body. But this is also Dr. Calder very excited because he thinks he has Starfire once again, because Starfire was the reason why he was able to do all these evil things in the first place. Now again though, he has no idea that Jericho is no longer in control of Deathstroke's body, that basically this capture of Starfire and Raven, quotation marks there, that basically this is a ruse to get Raven and Starfire close to him. And so when they walk into his room, he's just gloating. He's just happy. He's all like, look at me guys. I'm the reason why you are who you are today. And I'm going to continue to use you guys for my own personal needs, especially you, Starfire, because it was your alien DNA that gave us the ability to do all these different things. And so I want to use you to continue to do great work for the world. Now, of course, that is the moment you have Deathstroke say, oh, by the way, Jericho is no longer in control of my body. On top of that, their collars are not turned on. The collars that are used to shut down their powers, yeah, those collars right now are not on, which means that their powers are still active. And so you do have Starfire and Raven being able to take down the guards who were guarding or protecting Dr. Calder, and they do begin the process of telling him that he's going to help them do a lot of different things for the betterment of good. But then you have Raven say, okay, now we have Dr. Calder, I need to find the others. And she was able to use her powers to find the other children, the ones who were captured by Titan Star Labs. Now, you do have Raven and Starfire being able to actually locate the children who were captured earlier by the Titans who work for Star Labs. Now, while you have Raven and Starfire teleport down to that room to basically see them, they're also confronted by the Titans who work for Star Labs. Now, you do have the Titans who work for Star Lab confused on who in the world is Raven and Starfire, but they realize, who cares? Let's go ahead and fight these guys because they're most likely intruders. And so this does lead into a battle between the Titans who work for Star Labs against Raven and Starfire. Now, while you have the two sides fighting against one another, you have Dr. Calder tell Deathstroke that he still thinks he's going to win, because when it comes to his Titans, the ones who work for Star Labs, they were trained for this moment. They are trained, very well trained kids. And so basically they're going to be able to defeat Starfire and Raven and then stop him, Deathstroke, and then basically everything will be back under Dr. Calder's control. But getting back over to the battle, let's not forget what I said earlier about Cole, because earlier we saw Cole kind of having doubts about the things she was hearing about the other kids from Teen Titans Volume 1. Because earlier she was told that they were bad guys, that they work for some evil government program, that basically everybody from Project Starfire were all evil now, and they had basically betrayed Dr. Calder and the Project Blackfire team. But earlier we saw that Cole was having doubts about that, but also having doubts about herself as well. Like, does Dr. Calder actually care for me, Wally, and Cassandra? Or We are just his weapons to basically use for his own personal needs. And so with her having doubts, those doubts kept growing and growing. And so she did switch sides, and she basically took off the collars for Terra and Beast Boy, which of course means that Terra and Beast Boy are now in the battle. But then you have Raven say, stop. All of this, just stop right now, because we have to actually talk about this, because us battling is not going to get us anywhere at all. Now, this is Raven wanting them to realize that all the fighting they do between each other, it just needs to stop. And the reason why, because they're all being used by a guy for his own evil personal needs, and they need to realize that. And so it's her saying we should be working together to basically stop him, not help him or destroy each other. We should be helping each other out. Now you have Terra leave because she's kind of like, oh my God, where's Victor? Where's Cyborg? And so she leaves. Either way though, you have Raven tell the rest of the Teen Titans that we should work together. Now, Wally West is kind of like, no, why would I? I believe Dr. Calder because he's been with Dr. Calder the longest, that he actually believes everything that Dr. Calder said is true. But then you have Raven use her powers on his mind to show him that, no, you're wrong. Dr. Calder is evil. And once he sees that, he just leaves. He goes down the hall, and you have the rest of the Teen Titans follow him. And when they find him, he's kind of like, I need you to make a hole right here. There is something kept down here we all need to see. And so you have Starfire use her powers to make a hole in the ground. They all go down the hole, and what they see make them all realize that basically they were all just weapons to be used by Dr. Calder. And what they see down in that room is that other test subjects that had basically failed, meaning that when it came to Starfire's alien DNA, they try to use her alien DNA on other people. Now remember, we were told about this back in Volume 1, that they tried to use her alien DNA on adults first. But the problem was, though, the adults were not able to survive the process when it came to Starfire's alien DNA. But then they had the bright idea to give it to babies instead. And so what they did was they basically took a bunch of babies from foster care, because they knew they had no connection to actual parents, that they could use those babies for their own personal needs, which was to give them alien DNA from Starfire. And so with all that being said, though, they basically began the process of just going around and testing on babies as well. Now, we have no idea how many babies were tested on. And so that could mean that the people they see right now in those test tubes, they could have been babies who have grown up, or just other adults that were also used in the project to see what would happen to them if they basically got alien DNA. But this shows the Teen Titans that, yes, Dr. Calder never cared for you guys, that basically you guys were just weapons for him to use. And so you have Wally West get so angry, he basically runs off to find Dr. Calder. Now you do have Wally go find Dr. Calder, and when he does, this is a Wally who wants to beat down on Dr. Calder, but he is stopped by Deathstroke, because to Deathstroke, he's kind of like, hey, stop. What are you doing? Like, you cannot kill him or do anything to him at all until he is actually able to give my son Jericho a new body to basically use. Now, with that being said, you did have Dr. Calder tell his assistant to go ahead and release Project Blackfire. Now, remember what I said earlier. Usually, when it comes to the name Blackfire in the main DC universe, Blackfire is the evil sister to Starfire. But we're going to find out in this universe right here, Blackfire is not the evil sister of Starfire. Because remember, when Starfire crashed on Earth, she was the only survivor of her entire family, which means that if she did have a sister, which would have became Blackfire, she died. And so the question is, though, what is Project Blackfire? And that is the moment we see another Starfire, except this Starfire looks a tad bit abnormal. She's not normal looking at all. And the question is now, then what the heck is this right here then? Now, Starfire is actually able to tell us what in the world is going on here, because as soon as she sees Blackfire, she's kind of like, oh, you're a uglier version of me. Now, that right there ticks off Blackfire. She's kind of like, wait, you calling me ugly? Then let's battle. But the reason why we have that moment right there is to tell us that Blackfire, yes, is not the evil sister of Starfire. Instead, she is the clone of Starfire. And you have Dr. Calder tell Wally that basically when it came to Starfire, when she first crashed on Earth, the first thing he tried to do was clone her. Before he tried to do all the alien DNA projects, he tried to clone Starfire to make more of her, to build an army of her. The problem is though, he could never get the cloning process down. And so he only got Blackfire. And that's the farthest he was able to get. But he says she's very powerful. The problem is though, her brain does not work as proper as your guys' brains do. But she is very powerful. And we actually do see her right now beating down on the Teen Titans. And so it does look like that Blackfire will be the one to save the day for Dr. Calder. Not the Titans or the Teen Titans, but Blackfire. And she'll be able to actually defeat the Titans. But then we actually pick up with Tara. Now remember, earlier Tara left to go find her boyfriend because she cares for Cyborg so much. She has to find him. And so we do see her kind of wandering through Star Labs where she is able to find Cyborg. And of course, she does use her powers to free her man. The problem is though, by the time she found her man and saved her man, the metal on his body has now completely taken over his body. And it seems like he's no longer in that body at all. Like he's stuck in some kind of shell because she tries to talk to him, but there's no reaction to him at all. It's kind of like his brain has been completely shut down or he's dead. We don't know. But either way, it does seem like Cyborg is no longer around to help the Titans defeat Blackfire and Dr. Calder. But then we jump right back over to the battle between the Teen Titans and Blackfire. And this battle does go on for a few pages, but it does show how powerful Blackfire is. Like Dr. Calder said earlier, that Blackfire was his perfect project, his almost perfect clone of Starfire, because she is stronger than Starfire. Even though you do have most of the Teen Titans right now working together to basically stop her, they can't stop her. She's just too strong. Now, while you have most of the Teen Titans battling against her, there is a brief moment where you do see the metal on Cyborg's body begin to leave his body. And it begins the process of reconnecting to the spaceship that brought Starfire to Earth. Now, here's the thing though. Once all the metal leaves his body, Victor comes back to life. He's like, I'm alive. I'm okay. What in the world just happened to me? But then on top of that, you have Jericho being able to find a way to break free from Raven's control, leave her body, and then possess the body of Blackfire. Now, that right there is a huge problem because now you're basically saying that Jericho has control of Blackfire's body. And remember, Jericho loves Dr. Calder. He loves everything Star Labs was trying to do. But on top of that, he knows how every single person's powers work. And so that means that right now, he's in the most powerful character's hands right now. He controls Blackfire, the most powerful character on the field right now. And that right there is a huge problem. And so you do have Jericho basically used the body of Blackfire to begin the process of actually attacking the Teen Titans. And of course, right now, they're struggling to stop him. Like, they really can't stop him. He's kicking their butt. But then they hear something coming, something big coming. And that is the moment you have Victor just pop out of nowhere with a robot that he have basically made, that he's basically in control of. Now, with Cyborg being here, it does show that basically he now has the ability to actually control mechanical parts around him and turn them into anything he wants them to be, like a Megazord right here. He turns Starfire spaceship into a Megazord to help him fight against Jericho. Now, you do have the battle kind of continue on for a brief moment, but then you have Cole appear. And remember, Cole has the ability to create crystals, and so she does use her ability to stop the eye trick that Jericho uses to basically jump from body to body, because he was trying to jump into Victor's body. Either way, though, this is the Teen Titans trying to help Joseph realize that working for Dr. Calder, that what Dr. Calder did is completely wrong. Like, he is not a good guy. He is a bad guy. We should not be helping him. We should be trying to destroy him. Not destroy him, but stop him. But for Jericho, he's kind of like, y'all have to realize what he gave us. These powers, these gifts, they're amazing. But of course, he's not thinking of the process it was done to give them these powers. What they had to go through to get these powers was not a great way at all. And so you do have Jericho leave with the body of Blackfire to go join Dr. Calder. Now, this is where you have the Teen Titans wonder what they should do next. Because with their battle happening at this facility, this facility was in the middle of a major city. And of course, you now have the public there kind of like, why do these kids have powers? And why in the world are these kids using these powers to fight each other? Like, what in the world is going on right now? And so you do have the Teen Titans realize that they have to leave. They have to get out of there. Now, you do have Deathstroke tell Raven to use her abilities once again to teleport and get everybody out of there now. Take all the kids and leave. Just get away from this place right at this moment. But then you have Deathstroke, I almost said Deathstroke leave to go get Jericho back because he still looks at Jericho as his son. Now, once you have Deathstroke walk into the room looking for Jericho and also the doctor, he comes to find out that the doctor and Jericho have both just disappeared. They're gone. And so we have no idea where they have gone to, but we're left to believe that they'll come back down the road if there is a Volume 3 for Earth 1 Teen Titans. Now, the book does close with basically the Teen Titans going back to the home of Raven. Of course, she lives on a Native American reservation area. And you have the Teen Titans really just readjust with this new life they have now, where basically they have each other, but they're going to have to stay here together as a family to protect each other. Now, the story does kind of end on that note right there, where you do have everybody together. Cole and Beast Boy, they become a couple. Victor and Tara, they continue to be a couple. Starfire and Raven, they're best friends. But honestly, this is where the book ends, where you have the Teen Titans just happy that they have a chance to have some kind of normal stuff in their lives again and being able to call each other a family. And so the book ends on that note, and we have no idea where Jericho or Dr. Calder are at. We have no idea what happened to Deathstroke because there's no Volume 3. And when I last checked, I don't think DC Comics are going to do a Volume 3 for Earth 1 Teen Titans. But if they do, of course, that story is going to be all about where Jericho, Deathstroke, and also Dr. Calder is at, including the Teen Titans. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So with that being said, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.